Hello, everybody. A little quick housekeeping before we get started. If you've been listening to this, you know to scroll ahead a little. Otherwise, those who have not heard this before, I am working on building my presence both on the podcast platforms and YouTube so I can reach out to more higher profile guests and be like, hey, I have X amount of followers. I believe a 1 hour conversation with you would be beneficial for both parties. And it makes it easier instead of like this ragtag bootstrapper. And some of the high profile people I've reached out to, they're like, that's cute, kid. That's nice, but it's not beneficial for me. So if you have the time, please feel free to look at me up on YouTube and subscribe. That really helps. And while you're at it, might as well just click a video, mute it, and then open a new tab and do whatever you're going to do. And then rate and review on whatever platform. If I can show to whoever I'm pitching to that I have a good presence, then they'll come on. Other than that, let me stop rambling and let's get into this. The chat with Andrew is very good, very informative. He helped me with a lot of problems I was struggling with to put two and two together. So
welcome to the Josh Bolton Show, where we dive into interesting and inspiring conversations. And now, your host, Josh Bolton.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good, Josh. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
Excellent. Well, lovely to meet you, and thanks for making the time to have a chat with me today.
Well, thank you for booking a slot too.
It's my pleasure. Absolute pleasure. How's your? Well, I know it's only early in the week, but how's the week going so far? Has it started well?
Oh, it's been going fantastic. Super productive. Great things have been happening. So, how's yours?
It's going well. We've a mix of things. We've moved to a new location yesterday, so we're here for a few days, and then we move on. My partner and I are trusted house sitters. Sheena's primarily the trusted house sitter. I follow along with my bag and my backpack. So we're in London at the moment. We've been here for a few weeks on a number of sits, and then we head up to the northwest of England on Friday for a few weeks. So it's a great way for us to for me to live the digital nomad lifestyle. Really, we're able to travel. Been doing it since 2018. Apart from COVID putting a little bit of a
little hiccup in there,
but we will get abroad again when things balance out. The airlines at the moment in the UK are terrible with queues and things, so it's just not worth the hassle at this stage.
I bet. So for you, what do you do specifically? Would you just get your laptop, write a blog, podcast?
A little bit. I primarily I'm originally from the Isle of Man in the UK. In 2011, we emigrated to Australia. I was running fitness boot camps over there for women for a company. They got taken over, and I was transitioned into business coaching for fitness business owners, so helping with the marketing management, helping them grow their businesses. And that the company moved me back to the UK, and in 2018 was when we decided we'll go and travel. So I've just continued doing an element of blogging, an element of consulting for fitness business owners, and an element of, certainly in the last couple of years with COVID, I was helping businesses not only in the fitness field, but in helping them transition and pivot to online course creation. So I enjoy that dabbling side of things, and they didn't. So I would hook up with clients and help them build out their online coaching programs online for them.
That's awesome. So then what platform would you have them predominantly put their courses on, like Kartra or?
Predominantly, for me, I use Thrive themes. So if they don't have anything or they don't have a preference, I show them Thrive Apprentice, which has others like LearnDash, others like adding it to Thinkific or Teachable. So there's been a cross section of different platforms, but my preference, and that's only because I'm not a tech guy, but I know how to use tech. And if I don't, I'll go and do some research and see how to do it. But my go-to platform is Thrive Themes. I've used it for a number of years from a website. And with that, with the agency plan, you get Thrive Leads, Thrive Ovation, Thrive, there's all different plugins which all work seamlessly with the platform. So that's my tool of choice.
All right, Thrive it is. I'll go look it up because I've been trying to figure that out. I tried doing Kartra and I built my whole thing and I was waiting for the website to hook and then Kartra never took it. So I was like, I told them, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to say go to like joshboltoncoaching.com when I'm paying you like $100 a month and you can't even figure that out?
Oh, it's terrible.
Right?
It's frustrating as well, as you say, with the amount of time you put into these things. But as I say, I like Thrive. Is it perfect? No, but they're very responsive with the support, and they seem to, well, so far they've gone the extra mile for me. And if I've had an issue with a client who I've plugged into that side of things, then it's worked well for them, and they've got the support that we needed relatively quickly. So I stick with it. I'm sure there'll be a better thing out there at some stage, but for the moment, I'm pleased with Thrive.
All right, cool. Yeah, like I said, I'll check it out later. So then how do you, I'm just curious for your business coaching, how do you predominantly get your traffic to, for your business coaching side?
Two ways. One is being a guest on a podcast. We have a good chat, people listen, they enjoy what they hear, and they come and seek me out. Another way is just organically through the content I'm putting out now. Although my content is primarily focused to fitness business owners, but we've been concentrating on a lot of content creation to get some traction with that side. I'm utilizing some virtual assistants to fast track it as well. I put together I've got it out of here really, and set the process down of how I generally put my blog post together, and then outsource it to a couple of virtual assistants, and they're utilizing AI. So Jasper.ai we use to just not create the content completely, but just give us some fast track. Yeah. And then we use Surfer SEO to really, once we've put the post together, once we've checked that it's not it's not being pulled from other sites, so we're not flagrantly copying people. So put it through Copyscape. We then put it into Surfer SEO, which is, I don't know if you've heard, but it's an SEO tool which will rank it on a 0 to 100 score. Closer you get to 100, the more chance you've got it ranking high or highly for that particular term, keyword or keyword phrase that you've got. So that we're using that side of things. And my ultimate marketing strategy is really to focus on building my mailing list, building rapport with that list with good quality content. And then from time to time, I will share offers from businesses I believe in. So affiliate links, but equally people in the industry. I've realized that why should I look to try and build out a program for fitness business owners if I already know there's one out there that I particularly like? I know a number of the guys in the industry now. So I'll just reach out to them and say, hey, can I promote if they don't have an affiliate link, can I have permission to promote it? And if they're open to doing a deal on a particular thing where we partner on it, great. If not, I'm happy just to help the end user out, because it aligns with my mission. My ultimate mission is for 1 million people or more to lead their best possible lives, and obviously I can't achieve that on my own. So that's where interacting and sharing things with the likes of yourself can help.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is interesting. There's a few times like I've sat here because I've thought about doing like business coaching too and consulting. And it's one of those, I sat there, I'm like, well, what do I have that's any different than the other person next to me, kind of thing?
Yeah, but don't think that, Josh, because you've always got your personality. Your uniqueness is you. They might, let's say that somebody hears me, they hear Joe blogs, they hear Jane Doe, and so on and so forth. They might have already heard that material, that content before. But if they then hear you say it in a way that makes sense, you're the guy that gets the credit for it. And if you didn't do that, then the penny may never, ever have dropped. So you've got it in you. So don't feel that you can't do it, because you can.
Oh, and that's actually the part I was going to lead to, is now what I tell. I've had a few more just like free helping them out because they're tight on their budget. I'm like, I'll just give you like the top of the surface. If you really Googled it, you could have found it too. Yeah. And they all told me, they're like, dude, the way you presented it, like, yeah, I read that, but just your presentation was so much better.
That's it. I'm all about giving value first. If I can direct somebody to the answer, great. And if they can then got the wherewithal and the time to then take that, run with it and tick that off, fantastic. But then if they need some help or support, well, let's have a chat, see what's holding you back, what obstacles there are, and let's see if we can give you some assistance in achieving that particular obstacle that you wish to overcome.
Oh, totally. So then, what are some of the places you visited with your certified house sitting stuff?
Primarily the UK and Ireland,
Okay.
but we've done a world tour twice, and
nice.
I call it our world tour because we managed the first year we did it, we were here, there and everywhere, and I said, oh my God. So we became better at planning and paring down the amount of things we were taking with us. But we did what 2019 we had a sit in the UK, then we flew to Toronto. We were there for about 2 weeks. Toronto, we finished a sit there, went to Vancouver. We had a couple of sits in Vancouver for about 4 or 5 weeks. Then we headed over from Vancouver to Sydney. I went to see he was a client. He's actually, it's more of a friendship now.
Okay.
So went to visit him, stayed with his mum in Manly on the coast, which was fantastic. Then from Sydney, we flew over to Perth. That's where Sheena and I used to live. So we caught up with friends there. But then we had a sit for, I think, about 3 or 4 weeks there. So we were in Perth for about 6 or 7 weeks. And then flew from Perth to Dubai. That was to meet a client who was setting up his second studio over there, and then flew back to the UK. And we've done New Orleans, we've done Seattle, we've done where else in California? We've done California. We've done numerous times in and around British Columbia in Canada, and so we're looking at more on, in the US, and we'll be back in Canada in February next year, again in British Columbia on sits, because we get invited back, which is always nice. So it shows that we must have done something right.
Right. I would say, especially now with like COVID, air quote, calming down, that you should be definitely getting a lot more calls end of this year, definitely next year.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It's about 34,000. The last count that I saw was registered on the Trusted House Sitters website. We have to pay an annual subscription, which is about $120. It's about £90.
Oh, that's nothing. You could probably make that back from your first client.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But then that gives us the app on the phone. I can go on. I can put in I see it like a dating app. I could put in the dates that we're wishing to travel. It comes up with a list of potential sits that we can have. We can read their profile. If it's one we like and it fits in with our calendar, we can hit apply. We send them over an overview of us. They can click and see our profile. We've got 50, and we get rated as well. So we've got about 52 5-star reviews, I think. So that adds to the mix now. That it gives a bit more of credibility to us as sitters. But then we normally organise like a Zoom call if we can't meet them in person ahead of time. They then say, yes, are you happy to do it? They send the approval through. We click the link, and it's on our app then to say that we're sitting. So it's a great service. We don't get paid for it, but equally they're not having to pay for kennels, for the cattery. We've looked after horses as well, which was
that would be interesting.
Which was it was a good workout cleaning out.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And some people have reptiles, snakes, and small holdings, ranches, and all sorts. So you can be quite choosy on what you particularly like. But we look for dogs and cats. Cats are great because it gives you a bit more freedom to go out and explore as well. But our primary focus is obviously making sure that the pets are well looked after, and as I say, it does give us an element of being able to go out and enjoy where we are. Plus, living in some amazing places, that we just wouldn't have had the opportunity, and visiting somewhere that we've wanted to visit, but being there as if you're a resident as opposed to, a tourist staying in a hotel and things. So you get a bit more of a authentic a feel for it, which is fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. So what was that site again for the house sitting?
TrustedHouseSitters.com.
House sitters.
We do have a link for folks if they were interested, which gives them, I think, something like 20. We don't get anything. I think we just get a little pat on the back, but I think they get 25% off their first year. So I'm happy to share that if you'd like that, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Because I've been thinking about that. I have a cruise for Italy coming up here. We're going to head out like the 18th, and then we'll come back to 30th of August. But kind of, I'm just being like sheltered, trying not to get COVID because Greece won't let me in if I get COVID. So
that's it.
And then, so that's where then I just, once we get back September 1st, just hit the road kind of thing, just do what I can.
Yeah, there's so many in the States, in Canada, in Mexico, and all over the world. And most people on the site, they're just doing it for maybe a weekend or maybe a week, and then you get idiots like us to think, oh, maybe we can do this as a lifestyle thing and do it constant. And the first year we did it, as I say, we weren't that well planned. So there would be the odd occasion where we had to Airbnb in between sits. But then when we've become more refined and got our plan and we can see clearly when there are gaps, we just keep monitoring the site then and look for ones that were next to the one we've got coming up. This one that we're on now, for example, we got this about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We had this gap of 4 days between the sit we just finished and the one we start on Friday. And then this came up, and it was literally 3.5 miles away from where we were in London. So that seemed, I think it's like anything, Josh. If you keep your mind open and you're open to opportunity, then more often than not, the universe aligns and that opportunity, whatever it is, in this case, house sitting, they fall into your lap. But you've got to be open to that and just be aware of things and keep on it. But no, it's great. It's a fantastic lifestyle, and beats. I worked for 20 years in an office. Well, actually 22 years, and I don't miss that world one bit.
I wouldn't either. Can you tell me a little about that? That struggle up to the digital nomad life?
Yeah, for sure. When I was, as I say, I left school at 17 when parents pushed me straight into working in an office. That was the finance industry at the time on the Isle of Man, where I'm from, was the primary, or that was the type of job you should get. And started as an office junior, enjoyed it, worked my way up to becoming team lead and manager on a number of companies I worked in. Got to travel to the States and travel the world for marketing and meeting clients, and that was great. But it never scratched the itch. There was always something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to travel, wanted to be in control of my own life a bit more. We then got the opportunity because long story short, I'd lost weight because I'd put a lot of weight on. People had seen in the gym that I'd transformed and wanted me to help them. So long story short, I became a personal trainer in 2004. And built up my online fitness business and my boot camp business at home. And that gave us the opportunity to move away. And that was the first time in late 2011. And that gave me the first insight into what living as a nomad sort of was like. We settled in Australia for a couple of years. Then, as I say, we were brought back to the UK to head up a team for the company I was working for at the time. But then in 2018, we decided, look, let's scratch that travel itch and be the masters of our own destiny again. And that's when Sheena spotted the Trusted House Sitters ad, and we registered, and it's been an absolute blast ever since. We've been snowed in for a week in one place when the Beast from the East hit the UK in 2018. That was actually our first sit. Looking to become resourceful when the food supplies were running out, because we were in a remote area and nobody could deliver the food. So I was finding some flour and making flatbreads, tins of chickpeas, making chickpea curry and things. Singing hallelujah when the grocery delivery finally made it through on day 6. Through to, as I say, just meeting some incredible people and learning to become travel as light as possible. Heaviest thing really is my laptop and I have to admit my fitness equipment as well. Although the resistant bands and a suspension trainer, a TRX style thing, the weight adds up a little bit, so it means an extra couple of t-shirts less in the bag or whatever, and things. But
right.
But no, it's been a challenge when, like, if you don't get some good Wi-Fi and you've got an important meeting with a client set up or something. But on the whole, touch wood, it's been an incredible journey, and as I say, long may it continue. Biggest challenge, I think, over the last 3 years was we were in Whistler, British Columbia, just starting a sit. The owners, we were traveling 7 miles by coach from another area of Canada. The owners were keeping in contact because they were planning to travel to Hawaii. President Trump at the time, he shut the borders, or was shutting the borders at midnight that night. So they were unsure whether to travel. Thankfully for them, they didn't travel. But we had arrived and we didn't have the sit, but they had enough space for us they had a self-contained unit that we could stay in. And they said, what do you want to do? Do you want to sit COVID out for a couple of weeks until it's over? And we said, yeah, let's do that. When we realized that actually COVID isn't going away anytime soon. And
right.
the borders around the world were shutting down, and the last flights out of Vancouver to the UK were heading. We thought, oh, hang on, we'd best make a dash back to the UK. We got back to London, but we couldn't get back to the Isle of Man. The borders were already shut, and it was like, oh, right, where do we go now? But thankfully, we had contacts through trusted house sitters of the sits we'd done before, and we were able to rent one of those from the owners. It was a weekend flat in London, so we were able to get that for 10 weeks. Then
that was nice of them.
It was great. But again, it goes to show how, I guess, clues in the title, the trust and the relationships that are formed within this journey. And from then, the rules relaxed slightly in the UK. Somebody was traveling to go and see a sick relative, and we're looking for somebody to sit. We were an hour away, so we got an Uber to them, and we were able then from, that was, I think, May 2020 through to August 2020, we were able to do sits in and around London for folks. And then the Isle of Man's border reopened late August. So we were able to get back to the island and then self-isolate for a couple of weeks. And we came out the day before my mum's birthday. So she was pretty happy that we'd timed it to perfection. I'd like to say it was timed to perfection. It was complete coincidence, but she was appreciative of that for sure.
Good. No, that's really good. Especially like it just so happens the dominoes just laid down perfectly. Like,
that's it.
We'll just say it worked out.
So no, it's great. So I wholeheartedly recommend if people have got that travel bug, they want to scratch that itch, but put off with, well, I won't be able to do that. I can't afford it. Well, there are ways to do it. You can get signed up to a site like Trusted House Sitters, where at least you've got your accommodation paid
accounted for,
because you're not paying for it. You've got to pay your travel costs, of course.
Right.
But then, as I say, with the likes of Upwork or various other things, there's so much you can do online, working as a contractor or freelancer for somebody. Or if you got that extra entrepreneurial piece about you, then look to start crafting out your own business and making your own way in life, which is what I'm doing.
Yeah, I would say that would be more the reliable income, because it would also be like you're chained in a shackle because you are your income, so you have to work harder for yourself. But then if you want to leave the business, it's all going to blow up too.
That's it. But then again, you can scale it, which I'm doing now, because I got sucked into, as you become more successful, you end up having to do more to keep the, all the plates spinning. But that's when you've got to look at, right, how can I leverage myself? And I've chosen to do that with virtual assistants. I've got a team based in the Philippines that I've been working with for 2 or 3 years now. The first 1 or 2, and now I cherry pick based upon what I'm actually looking for them to do. So like a blog writer, a project manager, a web designer, a video editor, and so on and so forth. And usually people say, well, how can you afford that? But usually I choose to start small by testing it out for a few hours at a rate that they're comfortable with. I always ask them what rate they would like to start with. And if they say like $4 an hour, and I'll say, well, let me pay you $5 or $6 an hour, because I want to be paying them more than what they were looking at. But that then still gives me scope to be able to increase, either increase the amount of hours they do or increase the pay they get for the time that they have available. So they're very appreciative of that. And with them being based in the Philippines as well, their English is great, and they're skilled at doing what they do.
Some of the hardest working people I know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I've had a few chats with like people, a lady who runs her own like agency to get business owners their executive assistant. She's a little more costly, but she has a lot more insurance involved. So like if their internet goes down, they have an office they can immediately go to pick up where they left off, kind of thing. But she even said like, I asked her like, what's the air quote minimum wage there? And she's like, there's technically no minimum wage, so probably $1 an hour for you. And I'm like, that's just slavery at that point.
Yeah. I always go back to my values and look at what they're, as I say, what they're looking at, but then think in my head, well, you know, how much would I be prepared to pay for this, and say, look, this is what I feel that it's worth. So they're appreciative of that. And, you know, I think you get what you paid for as well at the stage as well. But I enjoy helping. It's not just them helping me. I'm looking at, you know, helping develop them and, you know, so that they get more confidence, they get more experience so that they can either grow in the role that they're doing for me, or certainly have the confidence then to reach out to other business owners where they can,
so like, I helped Andrew out with X, Y, and Z at this rate, and I produce this much. I can do more for this price, kind of thing. And yeah, even a business owner like, done. Sucks for Andrew, but I'll hire you.
That's it. So now that having the use of having help is essential, because yes, we can do most things, but we can't do it all. You know, there's only so many hours in a day, and life is for living. So we've got to get that proper use of time so that we can enjoy life as well as spending it with those who deserve our company and, you know, we want to be around. As I say, I've always said that we work to live, not live to work. That's a good mantra to follow.
It's a very good mantra. It's very true. For the longest time, I couldn't understand what that meant. And now, like, with my endeavors, and I've realized, like, oh yeah, you don't live to work for someone else. You work to help keep you alive or live, kind of thing.
That's it. But it's difficult at times. Don't get me wrong. There's times when we get sucked into it because we enjoy what we do. You know, we don't see it as work. You know, we see it as our passion or hobby. And so you've got to be, you know, ruthless with your time and go, right, that is the cutoff that I'm doing. So well, it's 6:30 here in the evening now. Well, today is a longer day, but yesterday I didn't do too much because we were traveling. Friday we'll be traveling, so we're taking that time off. Take the weekends off now, apart from just checking that automated email sequences have gone and the like. So, you know, my week now is condensed down to 3 or 4 days of, and then in those days I'm trying to condense it down so that your work time is really focused. You know, deep work, as Cal Newport calls it. So you might work less hours, but you get more done. You're more productive in that time.
Yes, 100%. That's the biggest one I've learned, especially trying to run the show and working still 9 to 5.
Yeah,
is just streamline everything. So why I have like certain calendars, certain things, and people have asked me, they're like, why do you work so hard? I'm like, well, I kind of do. I just get a lot done in like 3 days. Yeah. That would have been 1 week for you, kind of thing.
That's it. I'm really impressed. You know, you're a young guy. You've got a lot of vision. You've got momentum behind you, and consistency, Josh, is I think is the key to success. You know, it's not being consistent in doing the wrong things. Don't get me wrong, but it's being consistent on getting, you know, incremental improvement, and you know, those little things that we do right over a course of time. You know, we'll look back in 3 months, in a year, in 5 years, and you think, wow.
That was the pivoting moment when everything got better.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing for me is I always wanted to do a podcast, but it was like back in 2016 or 17 when like the Twitter mobs were just canceling everyone, heads are rolling down the streets and stuff like that, innocent people. And I was like, oh, like I'm scared. I don't want to get canceled and get my job like taken away from me and all that. Now I'm sitting here going, it sucks. They'll yell at you for a while, but it'll go away kind of thing. But no, you go.
No, I was going to say you're totally right. It's but kudos to you for having the wherewithal to think, right, I'm doing this, and then being consistent in getting your episodes out, because that success breeds success, and the initial success is just taking that first initial step. That's a challenge. We have friends going, oh, we wish we could do what you do. And I said, hey, we're not special. We just made the decision that this is what we were going to do. We gave ourselves a timeline. If it worked, fantastic. If it didn't, hey, you know what? We tried it. We enjoyed that experience, and now we're heading back and going back to doing something that we choose to do. But thankfully, so far it's been a crazy, memorable, exciting experience. And as I say, long may it continue.
Oh yeah. And I'm pretty sure it's going to, just like for me, the moment is I got COVID back in December 2020, and my boss's boss knew the crew coming in for like the remodel had COVID, but it was inefficient to tell us and cancel everything. So he just let like 50 people come in with it. And like the whole store went down. Like, I think there was only like 10 people left that didn't get COVID because they were off that day. Yeah. And pretty much I was on the floor convulsing, shaking. I couldn't breathe. I thought it was just a really bad cold. And pretty much everyone's yelling at me to work harder, blah, blah, blah. I finally go home. And then like a day later, the boss that was yelling at me to go harder said, oh, Josh, you might have COVID. You probably should go test. And I like lit him up. I'm like, you knew I had it and you didn't tell me, kind of thing. So that's where I did my test, got it, slept it off. Like there's 2 days that I blacked out. I don't even remember it. Apparently I was functional and talking. I don't remember it.
Yeah. That's not great. I know there's always a challenge being a business owner in that, but you've got to have the right values, I feel. And I've worked in places in the past where somewhere along the journey together, our paths were starting to go in separate directions, and it was immediately apparent to me that, hey, I've got to jump ship and plot my own journey, and in doing so, and having the courage to do that, you're able to leave that relationship on good terms, as opposed to thinking, oh, you whatever, you knew I had COVID and you were pushing me like a dog to do still do stuff. But it's values are key to me, and having the confidence and courage to stride towards your dreams is very, very important.
Oh yeah. And that's where, after I recovered, I think it was the day before Christmas is when we all recovered and we're air quote safe. I made a promise to myself. I was like, I will finish out Christmas, and my birthday's New Year's Eve. I'm like, on my birthday wow. I will start the show, whether it just flops right out of the gate or not. I'm just doing it, kind of thing. And yeah, now one of my early guests was like, we were just chatting away, and he said, you're totally going to be successful because all you do in your free time is talk with successful people. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and it just breeds, it's an infinite cycle. So like, the more you do it, the more it comes, the more you see, the more you do it. And I'm like, yeah. So it's just a matter of time. Something's going to hit. And then I'm going to have to like email you all and be like, thank you so much, kind of thing.
That's it. Standing on the shoulder of giants, as they say. I've always, from an early age, I've always had that scratch that I wanted to itch. And I now know there is that entrepreneurial itch. My parents still to this day ask, also, can you tell us what you do again? Because I don't have any real, how do you survive?
You can't explain this to Lucy. How do you do this?
why aren't you working? Or when I am working, like, we're on this call right now, it might be them trying to ping through, because in their eyes, I'm just sat watching a computer all day. I'm not working. Somehow I've got some money to pay bills and things and survive, but it's not, they're old school, so they don't get it totally, which is fine. But I've always had that itch, and I'm a little older than you, so in the initial years, I didn't really know what direction my path was going to go. So I was always, friends used to think, you're tapped. You don't. You're
Right.
There's a screw loose somewhere. But then when the internet came about, and then social media and mobile phones and technology moved forward, then the opportunities came, and as I say, everything aligned. Then the universe showed me the way, and thankfully at that stage I was able to go, right, okay, this is what we've been chosen to do. And as I say, it's been a great journey so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then I'm just curious, were you always like doing side projects in like high school and early part of college?
Not so much high school, but certainly when I started work, so I was 17 at the time. I set up I never had the lemonade stand, that people used to have and things like that. Yeah. But I used to play football or soccer, as you guys would call it. Then I was always I enjoyed my fashion back then a bit more, but I liked sporting apparel. I used to like wearing that gear. So I ended up creating my first company at 17, Sportsman. Man was MANN, because the old spelling of the Isle of Man was MANN. So I thought it'd be clever to call it Sportsman. And I would buy sporting apparel from sporting T-shirts, shorts, training tops and things from the wholesalers, and I would sell at retail. And people would be, I'd be going into the office with taking photos of things, put together a little catalogue, and I would sell these bits. Then the Isle of Man is world famous for motorcycle racing on the closed roads, on the public roads. And I've always been a fan, but I always felt at that stage there was never the right memorabilia or things. So I thought, hey, you know what? I'm going to create my own. I'm going to create this set of medals. Found some artwork of a famous painter, Rod Organ, who painted the motorcyclists. Not only the Isle of Man, but of the not the World Superbikes, but championship motorcyclists. And he gave me permission. I had to pay him, of course. I paid a license fee to use his prints, and I created this set of medals. Well, the champion at the time, I managed to get him involved. He did a signature and did a review, which became a commemorative inlay card that went into this really fancy thing. And I started selling these medals, as I called them, and it completely flopped because people liked them. They liked the look of them and that, but I'd made the cardinal sin of not seeing what the market wanted. Yeah. Assuming that I knew what, because I liked them, everyone would like them. I priced them completely wrong, and ended up going onto eBay, selling them for whatever I could for them. So it was a significant slap on the backside and a harsh lesson on that side, which financially hit me for a number of years. So I was forced back into the GOB, just over broke, for working my butt off to clear that side of things. And people laughed at me. They saw me as a failure. But it never, yes, I took a few body blows. Yes, it was a harsh lesson, but I still had that desire to really prove to myself, really more than anything, that yes, I can achieve this. Shin and my partner stuck with me. We went traveling. That gave me some time to have a deep think about what the path I really wanted to take. And at that stage, I really enjoyed the fitness side of things, and people were asking me for help. And that's when I qualified as a PT back in the early 2000s. And then 2004, I thought, hey, let's do this, and started up my mobile fitness training. And in talking with some early mentors in the US, they were talking about these things called boot camps that no one had a clue what they were in the UK at the time, fitness boot camps.
So you were a really early adopter for that then.
Yeah, so I started that. Then I got in. There was a couple of others in the UK that we're looking to do, and there was about 6 of us that became like the foundation of running boot camps in the UK. We would talk. I guess it was an early. I don't even think masterminds was a phrase that we knew at the time, but we'd sit on the phone, because of course we didn't have video things at the time. So we would sit on a I'll call the 6 of us. I'd be at my dining table on a Wednesday evening talking about what was going right, but more importantly, what wasn't going right. And as a group, we would share tips and strategies so that we could get things in play. And I ultimately built my boot camp to 6 locations. And as I say, then in talking with these guys and with mentors I was working with, that opened up the opportunity to where I was offered to move to Australia in late 2011 to run WA boot camps, Western Australia boot camps for women, and had 6 or 7 locations there to manage and build the team and that. And all of that experience gave me the management experience, leadership skills, and then working with the guys that ran the company. These guys were aspirational and, inspiring to me. I learned so much from each of them, and the connections I made through them, I still have to this day. Meeting people who were recognized public speakers. So they would spend time with me to help me improve public speaking, talking from stage and the likes, and then just others in the fitness world who, are recognized names in the fitness industry. They speak around the world, and just sitting down for a coffee with them and saying, hey, I've heard about you, and the support you give your clients is inspiring. And I'm going, hang on a minute, I'm inspired by you. What are you saying? You're inspired by me. And I just found that a challenge. But all of that wouldn't have come about from the failures that I'd learned from in the past, and still had that courage to move forward, which is key. We will always be knocked back at some stage, but it's how we come back. I'm into my head now. I'm getting that Rocky quote. Sylvester Stallone is talking to me, but
what is it?
I can't paraphrase it, but I can certainly send you. But it's not how hard of a knock you get. It's
how many times
being
you get
able. Just keep getting up, keep moving forward. Have that strength of character and that resolve and that determination, and you'll be a success.
Oh yeah, I know 100%. Actually, that quote. So I do martial arts on the side.
Oh right, nice.
On top of everything else I do, I've achieved a 2nd degree black belt recently.
Wow. Congratulations.
I'm already like, I'm going for a third degree now. But for my second degree, it was a long, like 7-hour test. And like the first 2 hours was just to break us. Like, I know it, I used to teach it. So I'm like, first 2 hours to break you, second 2 hours to see what happens. The third section is just, now how do you function? Well, the second stint, so the 4 hours in, I was working with an older gentleman. I love him dearly. He's my training partner on Wednesdays. His name's Jim. Strong as a ox at 76 years old.
Wow.
And I have a bit of a neck injury. So if I get hit, I get crippled in pain and I actually fall over. It's doing better now, but he would just hit me full force on the side of my head. So at a certain point, I was just like, ignore the pain, just make sure Jim gets through his test. Right when I saw him get his belt, like you could just see, I went, whoa, just gone. I couldn't think, I couldn't recognize anything. And finally the instructor testing us was like, why don't you just quit? And my mentor, my instructor yelled across the room, Josh doesn't know what quit means. He'll just probably go to 1% functional and he'll be here barely, but he's not going to quit.
Yeah. No, one of my driving, and I had it as a Post-it note for years, and then that Post-it note became something I actually printed out, was you will never fail, and then in capital S's, unless you quit. And that stood by me for a number of years. Having a clue where I heard it from, but as I say, it's a quote that resonates strongly with me.
Oh, 100%. And that's how I passed my second degree. Essentially, the guy testing me pulled me aside afterwards because he and just said to me, he's like, why are you doing this? You have every right to just to bow out. You're in pain. Just go. And I said, no, I'm here. I'm going to do this. I might not do my best, but I'll do this. And that's exactly why he gave me the belt, because he's like, that's not something he's taught. That's a true character that is the embodiment of everything we do. And he's like, so we made a deal on the side that I had to re-show my forms later on because I couldn't recall them in that moment. But yeah, he's like, my instructor's name's Alan. He's like, Alan, he's like, kid's good. You didn't have to send me all this. He's like, I was inspired by the sheer grit of him. Kind of thing.
That's it. It reminds me, I've got a number of clients I work with who the kettlebell is their tool of choice. It's a brutal workout though. It is. And I love kettlebells. I obviously can't travel with them. They're too blinking heavy to carry around. But I know that they have to recertify every couple of years, and through Strong First, and that's a challenging certification to get through. But it's done in such a way that because the organization Strong First want to make sure that they've got the best of the best as their coaches. But a lot of it is very much like I almost feel it's like SAS training or the Navy SEALs and things where you've got what do you call it? Not Horror Week, but
Hell Week.
Hell Week. Thank you. And most of it is like mindset. And in working with my clients now, I'm not a certified Strong First coach, but I work with a number who are, and when it's coming up to certification, when on our calls, it's really like, you've got this, you know what to do. Just work the plan and just stick to that, and you'll succeed. And each of them have. So it's challenging, but hey, I'm inspired by the knowledge, I guess, that you can still perform to a degree at 1%.
Thank you. It was just one of those, like, even for my first black belt test, we were doing forms and we were tired, and I knew that we were near the end. So it's just, they were putting us to the side to keep us busy. Well, the grandmaster of the system was overseeing this section, and I did my form. I was jumping extra strength, and I broke my toe in the middle of the test. And
that's painful.
it was. And it was just one of those, they like helped drag me out and were bandaging me up. And like the grandmaster's like laying his hands, like, it's okay if you quit. I'm like, do I get my belt? He's like, no. I looked at the guy patching me who was like there's the ranking is like 1 stripe all the way to 10 stripes. So he was a 5 or 6. So he was a high ranking person. I said, patch me up. I looked at the grandmaster. My forms are going to look a little funny, but I'll keep going.
That's it.
He just stood there like, we need to make a quick call. Hang on a second. They called my instructor and he said the same thing. Oh no, he's not quitting.
Yeah.
He's like, we'll go to the hospital afterwards.
Hey, I'm getting the impression now that Karate Kid was inspired by your resolve. You know,
if anything, I was inspired by him.
Okay,
I grew up watching that.
No, it's an inspirational movie for sure.
But yeah, no, that's just kind of been a summary. Like later on after the test, we did a seminar with the grandmaster, and it was one of those. It was COVID time, so my hair was really long, my beard was long. I never got around, and he even like. He stopped, he looked at me, and then he was chatting with someone else, but then he looked back, he's like, you're the one that broke your toe during the test. I'm like, yes, I was. He's like, I have not forgotten you. I'm like, I can tell.
Here's your belt already, because I know that you're not going to give up.
Yeah, he was just like, he's like, well, I'm going to work you hard today. I'm like, I expect that.
Hey, but, there's, it just goes to show that they admire what you do, and there's mutual respect, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. I'm just curious, how long do I got you for?
As long as you need me to, really.
Okay. I might take you up on that.
Yeah, so I'm fine for time at the moment. Not a problem.
Wonderful. So then, on top of your business coaching, the traveling, and your marketing, what are some other things you do in your endeavors in traveling?
For me, life's about living, as I say. So it's making sure that we've got time to be able to enjoy the experience and be able to see what we need to see. So that, and then, but in doing so, I realized that, well, you've got to generate an income to be able to live this lifestyle. So there's always that balance to get into play. But over the years, I've realized that, what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, and what I actually enjoy. I've made mistakes in the past where I've gone and done some work with somebody just because it was for the money. And then those instances have always been painful. It's always a troublesome person, troublesome client, or they refuse, or they're very slow in paying you, and it's just an unpleasant experience. So I much prefer now to get paid a lesser amount, but enjoy the freedoms that I get. Early, when I was younger, it was always, I'm going to be a millionaire by this age or whatever. But now I realize that, yes, money's important. We need money to survive, but it's the experience that you've got to live, and having that experience and having that experience with people that matter is key. In the past, I've traveled, when I've traveled for business, you're experiencing these wonderful places, but you didn't have anyone really to discuss it with. It was you on your own in a place. So it wasn't the same. So I do enjoy traveling with Sheena, my partner.
That's wonderful. Yeah. It's just funny how you mentioned earlier, like you took a client on for the money, and a wonderful client. And if it wasn't for a few hiccups that came up, I would have kept working with him. But it was just one of those, every time I would go ask for money, I'm like, okay, I've done your services. Like, can I get my money? And he's like, oh, next week. I'm like, okay. Well, he did that for like 4 weeks. And I was just like, dude, it's been a month now. Like, pay up, or I'm just going to have to cut, like, whatever you owe me. I'm just going to wipe my hands and just call it a day kind of thing.
I've had to do that twice now in the past 5 years. It hurts, but it's
It really did.
I guess my kryptonite is that times I can be too trusting, and I believe what that person's going to say and what they're saying, and it's coming. But I'm wising up a bit now in my older age that that's not always the case. So doing your due diligence to begin with, and of course you've got to trust to a degree in that. But now I like working with a small group of folks where I know that what I'm good at, I can deliver exactly what I say and more, because I always like to over deliver, and they're appreciative of that. And then they come back for, time and time again. And having that just helps build the rapport, build the trust, build the relationship. And ultimately then this small core group of clients become, they're never friends because there's a monetary transaction,
right.
But there is a friendship.
There's a good relationship. Yeah,
a good relationship there, which is what I like, for sure.
Yeah, that's the hard lesson I learned is pick small group. It might be more pricey, but because I can focus on 15 people and that's it. Like you pretty much get undivided attention from me. So the value to money, it's just disproportionate. You're getting more value than money. So then it's like hands down every time, just take my money kind of thing. I'm just curious, do you do just like one-off strategy calls or is it more like a monthly meetup with them?
It's very, in the UK, we call it bespoke. So it's like a tailor, there's, if a tailor's making a suit, then there's an actual design that goes into it, and there's a suit off the peg or a suit that's made to order. They look similar, but there's difference in quality, of course. Mm-hmm. I've found the best approach for me so far is having a chat with the individual, finding out where they're at the moment, what the challenges are, building out a roadmap for them to follow. And then it's like, right, what help do you need with that? Do you need some help with that, or are you good to go? And we have an approach where it's they'll do the work, I'll do the work, or we will share the workload. And then it's depending on the size of the project is how long we'll generally work together. But I prefer working with like minimum of like 3 months. Because it means that we can get some real traction for them. In getting over any bottlenecks or obstacles that they've had. And it gives us time really to get some momentum, gives them a greater understanding of what they're looking to achieve, so that if at the end of the 3 months, that's our project done, I'm confident then that they know what they need to do going forward. Plus, as I say, they've got that positive momentum to continue them moving forward, as opposed to, working with them for say a month and then, we cut the cord and that they fall back into their old routine again, which is the last thing that they want and I want, essentially, because I want the best for them.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I was in a mastermind like group call. A bunch of us entrepreneurs just paid our like head guy like $40 a month to just be on his weekly group calls. And so I was talking with a couple of coaches within it. And I would just ask them, like, what's your method of billing? Like, what's your preferred amount and blah, blah, blah. And all of them pretty much said like, well, just like charge 150 if it's business an hour. Because they'll just more, they're like, yeah, the profit's nice, but it's more like psychology for business, the slightly bigger the price, the more perceived value kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then one of them also told me to like, yeah, also bill 3 months in advance. And they have to like either understand it's contractual. Like if you dip if you leave or dip out, you're not getting your money back kind of thing. But
great advice, and I have to think of it myself, Josh. It's the same. If I'm only paying, say, $50 a month or $100 a month for something, very rarely commit to that.
Right.
But if I'm paying significantly more a month, or it's a one-time investment of a few $1,000s, then I'm all in, because I've invested that money. I want to make sure I get my money's worth out of it, and in doing so, you're going to benefit from that, because there's a greater takeaway from that, and again, you get that momentum from that.
And that was one thing. The few like group calls we had, but then one of them actually like looked through my site and actually went through my funnel, and they're like, for what I was offering, one of them even said, they're like, "You're actually not charging enough." And I'm like, "What do you mean? I was asking $1,000 a month." And he's like, "For what you're offering, that's easy, like 2,000, 2,500. I'm like, I'm already having trouble getting people to buy for 1,000. How am I going to convince them to do that one? Kind of thing.
Hey, well, I've always been a thing that if your tummy feels a bit like butterflies in your stomach when you're thinking of pricing, then that's generally the price point that you want to be aiming at. And if you start questioning who's going to pay this, well, that then gives you significant focus then, and you can really narrow down into, those serious players that you want to have on your team. And the benefits to them are great, because they're committing themselves. They're investing into a good amount of money into a program, into your program. You're committed because suddenly you're oozing confidence, because it justifies the value in the price point that you're charging, and it gives you that extra shot of adrenaline really to make sure it works for them, because you're fully focused on that client, and ultimately they're going to get some significant success from that, and success breeds success, as we know, and they're going to become raving fans, and people are going to notice. Except people notice, well, wow, what's happened to you in your business? Oh, I never told you earlier, but I've been working with Josh. Josh who? Oh, well, hey, he's my secret weapon. And yes, okay, twist my arm. I'll let you into telling you more about what he does. But be careful. He's a martial artist, and he never quits. So don't mess with him.
I like that story. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
The funny thing for me, like what started this whole entrepreneurial coaching and like consulting thing is I was working at a warehouse, security guard for like a truck company. And that part wasn't like the hard part. It was just a lot of things going on. So like I got to have to focus. Well, one day, and this is where I specifically remember it, this guy had a neck tattoo of like a gate with fire and demon spawn coming out of it. And he had like scars and everything. And he was saying to his buddy that he was walking in with, he's like, "Oh man, I wish I got in a car crash and could be home for 6 months unpaid, then work here for one day." And it was just one of those, I noticed it. And I'm like, that's a very interesting comment he had, but okay. So later on, the like head guy, he would be like pretty much the president of the region, came up and he's like, Southern guy. If you looked at him, you would not think he's making as much money as he does. He has his beat up Ford Ranger. He has his overalls and his like messed up, white collar shirt. And there was just one of those, he's like, "Hey Josh, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, good." And we're chatting away. And he pretty much was like, "Hey, so you're a really observant guy." I'm like, yeah, okay. He's like, "Why is my baby, my warehouse dying? This is what launched me to where I'm at." And I looked at him and I told him, like, that guy with the neck tattoo with the fire and the demons? And he's like, "Yeah, Chuck." I said, "Yeah, he wished he broke his leg and stayed home unpaid for 6 months than work one day here." So morale, the word morale has more power than what's going on here. And he just kind of looked. I'm like, "Dude, I'm like, you apparently have not been a manager for so long that you forgot what it's like." I'm like, when your crew did good, you were excited because you could take the company car, go buy that expensive taco guy you've always wanted to try. But you're like, "Oh, I can get it for the crew, then I could try it on the side." Mm-hmm. And I said, "And I'm sure you had gifts and prizes for whoever hit benchmarks." He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, I said, "You make a lot of money per month?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Could you afford to put like $500 aside personal cash and just buy gift cards. I'm like, sad to say, a W-2 worker in America, $100 is game changing, kind of thing. And so he did. And I gave him a basic outline of gamification. Within a month and a half, he went from producing, let's say, 600,000 units a day to like 1.5 million in a day. And he was making just crazy money in bonuses. So a lot of managers were calling him like, wait, you were the laughing stock of the region. Wait, why are you doing better? And he's like, oh yeah, I asked Josh at the whatever gate. He works this time to this time. Suddenly my phone was blowing up of all these high profile managers wanting to talk to me. And I was like, no, I'm working. Kind of thing. But later on he did. He just came up, his personal checkbook and everything, and says, okay, how much do I owe you? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you're a consultant. What do I owe you? I was like, jokey, $10,000 kind of thing. It was big to me. And he's like, okay, wrote it and handed it to me. Wow. And I was like, that was easy. Wait, should I have asked for more?
Well, there you go. And that's a wonderful story, Josh. And it just hopefully that reinforces the power that you have within and the knowledge you have that needs to be shared with others so that they can, lead the best possible lives that they can. So, no, that's a wonderful story.
Thank you. And that was the spark, because I was just holding a check and I'm like, then the second thought, oh God, taxes are going to suck, but okay.
Hey, you don't mind paying taxes when you
make that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where then he even said, he's like, this is afterwards when he handed me the check. He's like, hey, if you ever want to use the story of this situation, like go for it. I don't care, kind of thing. That's where I always sell it. Cause I'm like, he gave me approval of whether he remembers or not. He did.
Oh, so. I'm sure he does. He was making some good money from the advice you gave him, so he won't forget. He won't forget, believe me.
Oh, he did, because the one lady I had a good contact with in office, we worked out a deal to help him with how I flow with things. And she's like, for math's sake, let's just assume he makes $1 per package. So you doubled his income per day. And I was like, oh shit, kind of thing.
God damn, I should have been 50 grand, not 10
right?
grand.
I was like, maybe 100 grand would have been a better option.
Hey, well, lesson learned. But no, that you gave some fantastic advice. It proved worthwhile, and you've got that connection then where I'm sure you'd be able to connect with them, and they would be able to be the entry point to significant influencers that they're connected with. They'll have a Rolodex of some pretty key players if you ever needed it.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I've been thinking about, especially after the vacation, is to head back out to that facilities. I know where their head office is. Well, I don't know the number, so that would be interesting. I might have to set an appointment, then come back later. But and just be like, hey, just catching up. We chatted like 4 or 5 years ago. Just curious if we could work out another arrangement, see if there's anything I can help with.
For sure, yeah. Just look, I've seen time and time again people just saying, hey, can we rock up for a coffee, just have a chat if you've got time? Would you have 20 minutes to spare? I would find it, a valuable experience. What's the worst they can say?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not the worst they could do.
No, absolutely. Who knows where that could lead. So yeah, for sure. Once you get back from your vacation, I'd certainly be looking for you to do that and expecting the call to say, hey, Andrew, you know what? I did it, and this is what's transpired from it.
Call you later on. I would have to upgrade my plan just to call your personal number and be like, so I nailed it. Thanks for your advice.
That's it. I've got my private helicopter coming to pick me up shortly. We're off.
Well, we'll see where you are. I would have to send a private jet.
Whereabouts are you? Where your house sitting at the moment? We're coming over to have a drink with you.
There we go. That's the goal for the end of the year, to give you that call.
That's it. Do it. I want to see that happens for sure.
Awesome. Well, is there anything in particular that I missed that you want to go over?
No, I don't think so. I think it's been it's been wonderful. The only thing I would ask Josh is, because again, I'm here to give value where I can. Whenever there's a challenge or a question or an issue that you think, who can I reach out to? Please, I'd be happy to be part of your inner circle where, if you've got a question, ask. If I don't know the answer, I'll let you know. But more often than not, I know where to go for that answer or give you that pointer. So please, keep me in the loop, and I want to be seeing you hit, the stratosphere and beyond, infinity and beyond. Let's do a Buzz Lightyear.
Infinity and beyond. That's awesome. Yes, thank you. And definitely, is there any place in particular that, if they've made it this far, that they should go to contact you for hiring?
If they go to my website, andrewwallis.me, is a good place to go. It'll be early next week. We're doing some updates on that side of things. So there'll be a whole heap of resources, which I'll be able to share with folks there as well. Or they can find me on social media at Andrew Wallis HQ, and Wallis is Wallis. And they'll find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I generally hide out on LinkedIn a fair bit now because of the types of clients I'm working with at the moment. So that's my platform of choice, I guess. But the website andrewwallis.me is a good starting point.
Perfect.
We're building on that. But and equally, as I say, please shout if you've ever got any questions or you just want to bounce an idea off somebody, because I'll be more than happy to assist where I can.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you on.
No, thank you. It's been a great chat. I don't know where the time went. It's right. Flown by. And I've got a new hero now, and I'm thinking that my finger's sore. I'll just think of you.
What would Josh say? Keep going.
Go in, all in. It's been an inspiring chat. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations. You made it to the end. You're an awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations, you're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel, change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome, and see you next time.